and welcome to another episode of NSE FinWiz powered by CNBC TV 18 Season 3. Today we're at the headquarters in Powai, Mumbai of one of India's leading IT global services provider, L&T Infotech.
One of India's leading global IT services company, L&T Infotech is ranked by NASSCOM as the 6th largest software and services exporter from India. The IT giant provides end-to-end IT solutions and services to banking and financial services, insurance, engineering and construction, consumer packaged goods, retail and pharmaceuticals, and many more industries. NSE FinWiz visited L&T Infotech in Powai with the country's finest experts to advise and educate the young employees on investments and financial planning.
And we're now joined by our two very special guests. We have CA Harsh Roongta, who's a SEBI-registered investment advisor with harshroongta.com. And we have Feroz Aziz, who's the Deputy CEO, Anand Rathi Financial Services. Welcome, Harsh. Welcome, Feroz. And our core topic for today is mutual funds. So, Harsh, let's start off. Mutual funds. People find that very confusing at times. How is a mutual fund different from stocks or what we call equities?
So I think most people confuse mutual funds with equities, and people assume that mutual funds means investment in equity. Mutual fund is a method of investment. A lot of people, a lot of investors pool their money together, appoint a manager effectively, and that manager invests based on whatever he has promised. Now that investment could be in debt instruments, that investment could be in equities, it could be in gold. Very soon you might have real estate as well, and also a mixture of that. It has to be told to the investors what is going to be the investment pattern. Okay. So the key of investment in mutual funds, so to say, is using the principle of pooling and getting an expert help to invest. I think irrespective of where you want to invest, whether you want to invest in equity, even debt, even gold, anything, mutual funds can be used for investment.
Okay. So Feroz, there was a time when any ad you heard on television or on the radio about mutual funds did have a disclaimer at the end which used to zip past. Now it's become a little slow, so you can actually hear them say mutual funds are subject to market risk. Please read the offer documents carefully before investing. So what is this risk? Is it not a good idea to go and get into mutual funds if I'm risk averse, if I want to take low risk? Or again, there are options that I can take if I'm a high risk appetite person and I'm a low risk appetite person. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
See, I think risk is a very, very important term. See, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Risk to a common man is a very negative term, but it's actually the most positive term. Why? Because if everybody has different quantums of wealth, what distinguished is their risk-taking capability. So risk, if you take it in your stride and use it to your advantage. Now coming to the specific question of what are the risks in a mutual fund, people generally, when they think of risk, one risk which they think of is that I give money to somebody and he goes belly up and he doesn't return my money. That risk, which is the very large risk where you get all your money back or you get no money back, that risk doesn't exist with mutual funds because it is the most structured format, transparent format that I give him money, he can't run away with my money. Okay, unlike some non-structured kind of lending and borrowing, right? So that's one big risk which is not there in a mutual fund because it's a trust which gets formed, which is a legal entity which all the people who own small portions of the mutual funds are beneficiaries. So that primary risk which people generally associate is not there. One other risk which exists is the price risk. See, the price of a mutual fund can go up and down, right? Which I think is a very small risk because price can go up and down, but over a period it will eventually go up. Why? Because there is a very smart professional managing it, right? So that risk is what that disclaimer speaks about, and to my mind that's a significantly small risk because there are some risks in the world which correct themselves automatically. Like if you have a wound on your hand, it corrects itself automatically, right? But if you have cancer, it doesn't correct itself. right? Because there is no fighting mechanism in the body. So lending to somebody and running away with the money, you give him 10 years, he's not going to come back and repay it to you. But a price risk is the risk, and that's a very small risk relative to what is the risk perceived.
Lauren says that when you say, stay invested for the long term, what is the ideal time one should stay invested? So what is long term when you say long term?
Okay, yeah, I think that's a lovely question, Lauren, because there are two ways you can define long term. Mark Twain has said that in the long term all of us are dead. So obviously we're not defining that much of a long term. And when we do these shows on television, you have investor questions who says I'm a long term investor. Then you ask him, okay, what do you mean by long term? He says 6 months. Okay. If you look at equity, right, which is where I think this is very relevant, and if you look at the past data, see, if you look at the data on Nifty, right, if you look at the returns, I think over 8 years, if you have invested money in the Nifty at any time post 1992, over 8 years, okay, you would never have got a negative return. You can pick a date after 1992, and if 8 years later you look at what the Nifty was, there wouldn't be a negative return, right? And to lot of investors, not having a negative return is extremely important, right? So I would not say that that is the most important thing, but I think long term by this definition cannot be less than 8 to 10 years. So I would define it based on past data. Anything 8 to 10 years is long term, anything 5 years to 8-9 years is medium term, anything less than 5 years is actually short term. I think that really is a key thing for people to internalize.
Great, thanks. Next question is by Kinjal Uday Shah. Kinjal? Right. Firoz, she says that what portion of the portfolio should be invested in mutual funds?
If you look at mutual funds currently address 3 asset classes, like Harsh mentioned: equity, debt, and gold specifically. So mutual funds is nothing but professional management. To my mind, a person can use mutual funds to get to most of the other assets except real estate. So if you have 30% in real estate as an investment, not the house you're staying in, that's not considered a part of your investment because that's a consumption objective. So if that's taken care, and if there is no other real estate, 100% can be addressed by a mutual fund, because there are close to 1,000 plus schemes to cater to all people or all monies of everybody. So 100% can be in mutual fund apart from real estate investment which you have.
You're watching NSE FinWiz, powered by CNBC TV 18 Season 3. It's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.